Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a Q&A. I put out a request in a few different places. I put out a request on YouTube and on Instagram, and I put one embedded in one of my videos. So I have lots of questions, a lot, and I am not going to be able to get to all of them in this one video, but I plan on filming another video attacking some more questions. So I am just gonna read through some questions. I am going in no particular order. I have not prepared any answers. I really have made no thought prior to making this video. So I'm gonna be reading your questions and kind of chatting as if we're just sitting down and we're getting to know each other. So I hope you guys find this video fun. I love Q&As. I like to be able to chat about my thoughts and feelings, and yeah, so that we can kind of build a better relationship with each other. You kind of know a little bit more about me, and we can chat in the comments, and I can learn about you guys, and it's just a lot of fun. So without further ado, here we go. Okay, I am going to start with, I'm looking at my laptop, I have it sitting here. I am going to start with the community post I put out on my YouTube channel. I have, I think I hear my baby crying. Of course he would be. Hang on a minute. All right, Samuel is, I think, starting to wake up, even though he's only been asleep for a few minutes. So I'm just gonna leave him be for a minute. He's fine, and maybe he'll go back to sleep. So I'm gonna try to get as much done as possible. Okay, this is from the community tab on YouTube. Diana Phelps asked about large family money saving tips. So I'm going to try to keep these answers sort of brief so I can get through more questions, but some of the ways that we have saved money, especially in the past, some of these we're not doing right now, but we have done in the past. There was a point when we were really low on income coming in the house. We had to cut a lot of things, and you have to, adjust and make those, take those steps as you need to. But we cut all of our TV services, and we just used our Roku and watched like YouTube and things like that. So you can cut all of your TV. That's a really big money saving tip. You can go with a really cheap cell phone service carrier if you're not in contract. If you are in contract, sometimes they will let you pause your phone lines and just pay like the basic to keep them open, and you can switch over to a different phone carrier, but you can like shut those lines down temporarily if you're like maybe needing to save money for a month or two. Yeah, so a lot of people don't know that you can do that, but look into whoever you have your cell phone service through and see if that's an option for you, which we have done before in the past. Another thing that really tends to rack up really quickly is when you leave the house with a lot of kids and everybody all of a sudden needs food and drink. If you go into a gas station for, 5, 6 kids, you have a massive bill, and it really adds up. So we would always bring snacks from home. Everybody would grab a water bottle, even just like a plastic bottle of water or a reusable cup that we used to travel with. That can save you tons of money while you're out and about. We always would buy clothes secondhand, thrift stores. Up until really this year, I have bought most of my clothes from the thrift store. Here lately, I've been buying more from like Amazon, Target. Where else have I bought clothes? That's pretty much it. Amazon, Target, and Kohl's. But really, that's just kind of like here recently. For the past, I don't even know, years, I have been wearing clothes from Goodwill, which is fine, and I still love to wear thrifted clothes. So that's another really great money-saving tip. Buy secondhand. Buy secondhand whenever you can. When you're grocery shopping, shop at discount grocery stores like Aldi. That has saved our family a ton of money on our grocery bill in the past. Also instead of making a lot of runs to the grocery store, make one large monthly grocery shopping trip. If you can't do that, then do one grocery shopping trip every 2 weeks. Make a meal plan and stick to it. Cut out a lot of your snacks. That adds up financially. Just, don't eat out. Tailor your meals to more simple ingredients that you can make pretty cheaply, like spaghetti, or like a grilled or baked like meat and veggie combo. Make your bread homemade. There have been so many times, you guys, where we just did not have a lot of food money budget, and just having flour, sugar, water, yeast. I would bake up some bread and we would put together like a bean soup or something like that with bread. You have a very cheap meal that is filling and feeds a whole lot of people. So be really creative with your grocery budget. Other ways that we have saved money, I'm trying to think. Just look at what is coming out, like track your bank account very closely, look at what's coming out, and eliminate any unnecessary drafts that are coming out that you may not be aware of. Just be very conscientious of what is coming in, what is going out, and what can you tailor down to the bare minimum. So those are my best money saving tips. What is your relationship with your husband? Jane Panochevna? Sorry, I don't know how to say your last name, but I have a wonderful relationship with my husband. We have always had a really good relationship, but we have had times in our marriage that were extremely difficult. We're very open about that, but until we both grew and matured and learned how to handle our differences and learn how to live, sharing every moment of every day together, then we had some struggles. But right now, I would say is probably the best our relationship has ever been. We are extremely close. He's my best friend. And, but yeah, we've had some hard times, you guys. We've had to learn how to fight well, because we didn't know how to do that for a very long time. And even occasionally there still are moments where we fail, of course, because we're humans. But the biggest tip that I can give you as a seasoned wife is to think about your spouse before yourself. Learn how to express your grievance to your husband in a respectful way. If there's something that he does that you really, really dislike, try not to nag him about it, but try to bring it to him at a moment that is right for the conversation. Don't ever put your husband down, ever. And cultivate time with him in a way that's meaningful to him. So that's different for every man. And for my husband, I've had to learn what his love language is, what communicates that I love him. He is very, quality time and touch is his love language. So when I'm spending time with him and when I'm touching him, hugging him, kissing him, showing him affection, being intimate with him, that communicates love to him. And a lot of men are like that. And so you just have to prioritize that and stop trying to win every argument. Ladies, you don't need to win every argument. You need to value your marriage over being right. So it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of trial and error, but it is possible to move through really difficult relationship struggles and find yourself in a better place. But it does take some work. Ashley Hoover, did you find a place to move into in your area, or are you moving back to the area that you were before? All right, I have a lot of questions about our move, and sadly, we are struggling trying to find a home here. Let me clarify, because I think I might have been confusing in the video that I talked about us moving. We are not leaving the Wilmington area. We are staying in Wilmington. My husband's business is very successful here, and that is like everything. So we're staying here. The problem with Wilmington is the housing market here is very, very competitive. It's very hard to get a home. and especially if you're renting. If we were buying, it would probably be not a big deal. We could probably find something. We would still have to pay more money, but it's very difficult to find a rental here. And when you do find a rental house, you're going to be paying an enormous amount of money for it. We would even be open to paying a good bit of money for a rental house if we could find one. The problem here is over the past 2 months, there have been almost no rental homes available that would work for our family. There's a lot of like 2-bedroom, 1 bath, things like that. That just would not fit our family. So we're trying to be patient. We do have a little more time to be patient, but I'm just praying that the Lord will open a door and put us where He wants us. There is a very specific area that we would prefer to be in, and if that's not a reality, then we're just going to have to deal with that. But where we are right now, we want to stay, and that's pretty close to Carolina Beach. We live just right over the bridge, and even if we could manage to get onto the island, we would like to do that, but that's even harder to do. So we'll see what happens. The Lord may open up a wonderful door, and I'll be, super happy if that happens. So I know that there's somewhere out there that we're going to end up, and it is stressful, but I'm just trusting that things are going to work out. All right. So, Rockin' 7 Winners says, we have 7 kids and homeschool, and I always wonder what other large families do for birth control and their stance on the subject. So, up until recently, we have kind of left our family size up to the Lord. We have taken some precautions that weren't permanent in the past to try and space children out, but we didn't. I haven't been on birth control pills or any type of hormonal birth control in years. I mean, like probably since I was, I don't know, like 21-ish, 22. And then my belief about birth control really changed, especially certain types of birth control. So I didn't do that. Up until we had our last, which was my 6th child, Samuel. He is 8 months old. I have not done any birth control, but my body is kind of tired of giving birth, and I have faced a couple of life-threatening situations over the past couple of births. So with Maddie, I had a severe hemorrhage and almost died and had blood transfusions, and I was just extremely sick. With Solomon, I hemorrhaged again, very badly. Horrible hemorrhage, horrible situation. They just tried to get the bleeding under control. It was just a bad situation. Okay, that was with Solomon. With Samuel, I had fear my entire pregnancy about another hemorrhage, another life-threatening situation. While I was pregnant with him, my uterus was bleeding. It's just that my uterus is, as the OBGYN kind of described it, is just like really tired, and it does not want to clamp down. It's just like free bleeding. So it was quite risky having Samuel, and I was given so much medication after his birth to prevent a hemorrhage, and those medications had side effects of blood clots and other life-threatening things, but when you weigh the risk, it was something that we had to do. All of that to say that my husband and I really felt that we needed to do something so that I don't lose my life giving birth again. So he did have a vasectomy after Samuel was born. Within the first couple of months after Samuel was born, we do not want any more biological children because of the health risk to me. It's just really scary. After Samuel was born, I got extremely sick within 24 hours of coming home from the hospital. I had 104-degree fever. I had severe migraine. I've never had a migraine in my life, and I had severe migraines. I was extremely sick, and it was just, it was just torture. So I don't want to give birth anymore. It has just been really hard for me. And in the future, if the Lord presented us with a possibility of adoption or fostering, that's something that we are open to discussing and praying about. So that's not off the table. But birth control, he had a vasectomy. So that's where we're at with that. All right. How do you submit and trust your husband? This is from April. I think your last name is Japhis, I think. Japhis. How do you submit and trust your husband to lead if it's a scary situation about a job, etc.? Not in matters of sin. I mean, he wants to take a leap of faith and it freaks you out. So I've been there. The move here was one of those situations. Actually, my husband was offered a position down here with a company. That position ended up not being the right move, but it was the right move, I think, for us to get us down here. So when he brought that up to me, let me just say this, that I think as a wife, you need to support the head of your household and ultimately give him that decision. But if your husband is like mine, and every husband may be different, he wants to know how you feel about it. He wants your input. What are your thoughts? My husband came to me about this move to Wilmington, and he wanted to know what my thoughts were about it, how I felt about it. Did I think it would be good for our family? Was I willing to take the risk with him? Ultimately, I said, hey babe, I'm with you. If you want to do this, let's do this. We've done so many major life changes in the past, and I've always just kind of been like, you want to do it? Let's do it. Let's see what happens, and just go full force. We did pray about it. I had a lot of anxiety about this move, just to be honest. I would wake up and just be like, what are we going to do? I was so scared because it was just a big decision. But ultimately, we decided to just go for it. And the crazy thing is, when we moved down here and the job that my husband was taking, that fell through. It's a long story, but it was a bad work environment. That fell through, and we found ourselves here in Wilmington jobless. So he didn't have a job. I didn't have a job. And I was thinking, okay, so this was probably a bad move, right? I was thinking, this was not a good idea. So I had to pull myself up by the bootstraps. My husband went to work trying to get his business reestablished as a self-employed person in a new place, which was a whole nother, oh my goodness. Just imagine, you guys, you leave your business in another town and you go to work for a company, and that falls through, and now you're in a new place and you have to start from scratch again. That takes time. So literally the week that everything kind of fell apart, I had to get myself in gear, get myself a job. I had to put out all these resumes, and doing that on top of the disappointment of not being a stay-at-home mom, which was another hugely motivating factor for us moving to Wilmington, is that I would get to stay home with the kids. So I was dealing with my own grief on the subject, having to go back to work full time until things worked out. It was just so hard. Oh my gosh, it was so hard. And to find out that I was pregnant again during all of that. So it was rough. It was rough. But you know what? This is what I say. Go with your husband. Trust your husband. If you have to get yourself, and pull yourself up by the bootstraps and make yourself do things that you don't really want to do, then do it, because we can do that. We're strong and we are empowered women, and we can submit to our husbands even when it's hard. So that's what I have to say about that. And the Lord worked it out, and I am now a stay-at-home mom again, and it's just been great. So that's the answer to that one. Candace Marie says, any more babies to come in the future? So I answered that one already. And what kind of business does your husband own? And how is Maddie doing with her sensory sensitivities? And what do you do to help her? So no more babies. My husband owns a painting and home restoration remodeling company. He's always been in that business. My husband's father was in the business, and it's just kind of you know, it's kind of like a family business. So he owns a painting business, and surprisingly, it's pretty, the work is awesome down here. So that's good. Maddie is still up and down with her sensory issues. I try not to go into a lot of detail about that because it is, you know, it's her and it's her thing and it's her life. And I try not to like really delve deep into my kids' like issues, problems, things that they deal with too much. But I've been open about it in the past. She does struggle with sensory issues. We still deal with those. It can be very, very hard. And it seems to me that she has exacerbations that last for a month or two, and then she will be good, and then she'll have more exacerbations. And a lot of it has to do with like her skin, the way things feel on her skin. So clothing is a huge problem. We are always looking for different types of clothing. Even like undergarments can cause like complete sensory meltdowns. The way they feel, elastic really bothers her. So that's been a problem. There's just a lot that is involved. Sleep issues, excessive fear and anxiety that we're dealing with actually now. So it's exhausting, but we help her cope the best that we can, and we try to learn what can invoke these types of exacerbations, and then we're just learning. You know, we're working with her pediatrician. We have an amazing pediatrician here who is a homeschool dad, who is a Christian, and it's just really awesome to have him in our court. So we are really fortunate to have him to help us work through these problems. So, but yeah, there's still problems, and there's still things that you kind of have to take on a day-to-day basis, and no one child is the same when it comes to sensory problems. So there's that. Let's see. Donna Lucasi says, what are your best moving tips? Do you have family to help with the move? And share what keeps the peace in your family and in your marriage. I noticed that when your husband is around, you talk nicely to him and don't put him down. Okay, so best moving tips is start immediately. As soon as you know that the move is, imminent. So once we find a house, once we put a deposit down, once we know we have a move-in date, I start immediately and I tackle things like really hardcore. I usually lose like 10 pounds when we move because I work a lot and I work around the clock, but it's really important to just start packing and try to stay as organized as possible. So doing one room at a time is good. Packing everything non-essential right away. I color code rooms. So everything in this room would be one color. Everything in, like, say, the living room would be a different color, and I put masking tape or duct tape on the top of the boxes so that I know exactly what room that stuff came from. I then have, like, a key where I keep track of what the colors are so that I don't have to write constantly what room each box came from. I may want to put, like, a label like books or clothes or whatever on the box, but it eliminates a lot of extra writing. Also, I always have like a section in the house where I'll have smaller boxes and I keep them open while I'm packing, and I will label them like batteries, tools, pens and pencils, change, papers, important papers. And so as I'm packing, inevitably I'll have like a miscellaneous box that will stay open. So as I'm packing, inevitably there's like random small junk that I come across. A lot of times it's change. It's like batteries, like small tools, screws, things like that, and paper. Just random things like that. And if I have a place that I can just sort those out into, it helps to keep things from becoming really overwhelming. And I do that every time I move. I keep it like in a certain spot, and then I know that as I come across that random crayon, I throw it in there. As I come across, like a bill that needs to be filed, I put it in the paper box. So that is another really helpful tip that I have. I always tend to pack up my kitchen first, which is so counterintuitive, I know, but to me, the kitchen takes the longest, and the kitchen, there's not a lot that you actually need in your kitchen to be functional. So I'll keep out like 2 pots, a couple pans, and just 1 serving of plates and bowls, and then we'll use like throwaway cups until we move. To me, getting the kitchen out of the way is like so relieving, because it's a really daunting task. And I don't know, I always just say, like, pack your kitchen up first and leave only the bare necessities out. And that has always just helped me so much in the move. What else can I say? Get rid of anything that is not completely essential for your new home. Sell things, collect extra money that you can, by selling things that you can reinvest into the place that you're moving with new furniture. Someone's screaming. Also, as you clean and pack your house, you're going to end up finding extra change and money that you can also cash in for new decor and things like that. So, highly recommend that. I think I need to handle a kid problem. Okay, now that I've dealt with that and I have one sitting here in the corner, let's see. The second part of that was, do I have any family to help with the move? That is a no. No help whatsoever. It's just us. We did hire some helpers when we moved into this house, and we'll probably do that again. So that's probably what we'll end up doing. But I will pack everything in the boxes, and then we'll just have some people to help with the actual moving part. What keeps the peace in our family and in my marriage? So a few things. Number one is, yes, she says she notices that I talk nicely to my husband and don't put him down. And I do that. I try to do that all the time, whether I'm in public, whether I'm in the house. I try not to put my husband down. I try not to talk down to him. I don't like for people to do that to me, and I would certainly not want my husband to do that to me. So that is a huge, huge, huge thing. Just, your husband wants your praise. Your husband wants your encouragement. Your husband wants to hear that you're proud of him, and not the other way around. Now, are there things that, can you say things to your husband? Yes. And you can say them respectfully. I can say, hey, don't do that. Don't say that. I would prefer that you not say that in front of the kids. I don't want them to do this, or I don't want you to do that. And that's fine, but there is a way to communicate that. Open communication is key. And that really what keeps the peace in our home is making sure that we're talking and making sure that we're getting adequate time to connect. And that is in every way possible, so that I'm listening to him talk. He can bring to me his fears and his anxieties, and I'm listening and I'm not critiquing the entire time. That is that we're having time to be intimate with each other. Ladies, make that a priority in your marriage. If you're not, your marriage is going to suffer. And I know that I have mixed audience here, so I try to be really modest when I talk about this, but it is so important. And I feel like not enough women talk about that aspect of marriage. You need to be connecting intimately with your husband often. That communicates, it is the lifeblood that runs in your marriage. And when that is lacking, then it brings in a lot of opportunity for discord in your marriage, for temptation to enter in. It's just so damaging. And if you're in a point in your life where that is a big issue, then, start there and start trying to figure out what is prohibiting that and how to work on it. Talk to your husband about it. Find out what his needs are, know what your needs are, and communicate those really well. If you're not connecting with your husband intimately, regularly, then you are roommates, and that does not lay a foundation for a healthy marriage. So that is huge, huge. And as a matter of fact, it's been my New Year's resolution this year to amp that part of our marriage up to like an enormous degree. And it has been life-giving, not only for him, but for me. And it's just amazing. So let me encourage you to do whatever you need to do without, within the boundaries of your marriage to cultivate that. And it's beautiful and it's wonderful and it's God's desire and design for your marriage. And it will open up so many doors for you, I promise, when you are really connecting, not only intimately, but intimately with communication, with just spending time together without phones and just talking. And that's an area that we do struggle with. We don't get date nights, really. We don't get a lot of time that's uninterrupted. So you have to be creative. You have to find ways to have that time and prioritize that. And sometimes you have to tell the kids that, remind the kids of their place. Mom and dad's time is mom and dad's time. And you don't have access to every hour and every second of our life. And that has been a boundary that has been difficult for us to set, and one that has been blurred, I think, a lot along the way. But it is vital that you put the kids in their place, you express love to them, but that they are here, and whenever you and your husband are together, that is a priority. And communicate that lovingly, but also just set really good, healthy boundaries. Also, keeping the peace in our family is being willing to put others' needs before your own. There is no more sanctifying work than being a wife and a mom. You're putting everyone's needs before your own a lot of the time. Good self-care is important, and one that I've been working on this year. But also, what I mean by putting others first is, instead of thinking about me all the time in regards to, here's a big one for me, it's sleep. It's like, you always get to sleep and I always have to get up. And that has been a struggle in our marriage in the past. But like, when you learn to kind of let that go and try to meet your spouse's needs in other ways, and put him or her first, or whoever may be watching, your spouse takes notice of that and is more willing to, in turn, respond lovingly to the things that they see that you need. It's complicated. I hope I'm communicating that well to you, but I feel like that topic alone deserves like a whole video of its own. So I feel like I've been chatting for a very long time. I think this video is probably going to drag on if I go into a lot of other topics. Let me answer like 2 more very quickly, and then I think we'll be done. So Jessica Pounders says, how do you stay organized with all the kids? I don't think that I'm an extremely organized person anymore, and that's on purpose. I was becoming very drill sergeant-ish and just not a really happy person to be around, and I've really just let go of a lot of that. But there are ways to stay sort of organized, and that is to do things daily to help ensure that messes are kept under control. We have a thing that we do about 2 to 3 times a day, which is called Family Tidy Time. And when Family Tidy Time is declared, everyone has to stop what they're doing. We set a timer for 10 to 15 minutes, and everyone just runs around the house as fast as possible and puts things back where they go. Having a place for everything is super important so that they know where to put the things that they are picking up. So that's really important. Also, like the laundry, and making sure that you're doing that daily instead of 1 day a week, that helps a lot. And then having the kids to put up their own laundry and teaching them kind of how to do that and where it goes is another really great way to stay organized. And I wash and dry and fold the laundry, and they put it away. And that seems to be working really well. And I aim for 1 to 2 loads a day, and that really helps just maintain things very well. Also, I guess this is more like tidy, or not very much like keeping organized, but for me, keeping organized means that you're cleaning a lot and cleaning often, because when you don't do that, things do get disorganized. So everybody that helps clean up after dinner and put things away, tackle the messes on the spot when it happens, and that way things are not out of control. I don't always do this, but I have been doing a lot better here lately with that, and it is really helpful advice. K4 says, what happened to your dog, and do you have a paper planner, and how do you use it? Do you miss working? So Cora, is a common question, and one that I've kind of avoided because there is a lot of emotion behind it, and people are very passionate about this subject, and it's kind of opening a can of worms. But we do not have Cora anymore, and it was extremely difficult decision for us. It was right before I had Samuel, and I had my niece and nephew over, and she was extremely aggressive with them. So we consulted a trainer in the area, and after, expressing kind of what happened and everything, and the fact that I was to give birth like 4 weeks from that time, it was just overall the recommendation of the trainer and everyone involved that Cora needed to go to a home that didn't have children. And I think that we're partly to blame for that, because she had become extremely protective over us. Maybe she wasn't socialized enough with other kids, but I could not risk her hurting a newborn, and the way she was acting toward my niece and nephew was extremely concerning. And so she went to a home with 2 other Great Danes, and this family does not have children, and they love Great Danes, and it worked out very well, but there were a lot of tears shed on our part. We were very unhappy about that. So we've decided for the foreseeable future that pets are just not going to be a part of our family. Maybe like cats, but yeah, no more dogs for now. And do I have a paper planner, and how do I use it? I have the Erin Condren Daily Duo Planner. I do not like that planner, so I have not been using it. I prefer the Weekly View, but I don't want to invest in another Erin Condren at the moment. So I am currently just using like a dot grid and drawing out my monthly view, and then just list making for the things that I need to get done. And that seems to be doing okay. I would like a better system, but for now, that's where I'm at. Do I miss working? Absolutely not. I have wanted to come home with my children for years. I have begged the Lord for the opportunity to be a full-time homeschool mom and devote all of my time to them. And this is everything that I've ever wanted, and I don't miss it in the slightest bit. Actually, every time I would go to work, I would feel that it was not where God wanted me to be. So I'm so happy and fulfilled being here at home with the kids. I love it. And so I don't know if I will be going back to work in the future. You know how life changes, who knows? But if I have to go back into the medical field, I'm a nurse, in case you guys didn't know. I don't know that I'll be going back to the ER. I just feel like that environment is just, I don't know how to say this, but like the environment in the ER tends to be a certain way, and a lot of times I feel like I don't fit in very well with that environment. So I would probably look for other opportunities to work as a nurse, maybe going back to the urgent care environment or some other place. So I'm not sure that the ER is going to be where I return, if I do return as an RN somewhere to work. All right, guys, I'm going to stop it there. And there are so many more questions that I'm really excited to get to. But for now, we're going to stop here, and I will film another Q&A soon. I hope you guys enjoyed. My phone is ringing. Be sure to leave a comment down below, thumbs up, and subscribe if you're new here. And I will talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you.